I'm actually going to draw on a story that we tell in the Wonder Wall that was a real catalyst for my own learning in many ways, although I've been on the journey for many years by this point. In 2004, I was appointed superintendent with the school board in Ottawa. My responsibilities were for leadership and creativity. It morphed into creativity. And we went on this journey to unleash the potential that lay across the district, not just in language and mathematics, but in all areas of human thought and imaginings. And about 5 years into the journey, we used to put on these happenings, conferences, celebrations about 7 or 8 times a year. And at every single one of them, we would have student or community creative initiatives, hundreds of them through the years. One day, I got a phone call from a principal in Ottawa, Jennifer Offord, and she said, "Peter, you have to come to our school to see this, one of the examples of what's happened." Anyway, this team of teachers had flipped the model of learning. They drew on Genius Hour, you know, the concept of Genius Hour. It's where it's project passion-based learning, where you say to the young people or to the older people, because this became a community thing, what are you passionate about? What do you really want to know about? What do you want to explore? And then they give them quite a lot of time in the curriculum for several weeks or maybe a month to delve into that. And the only 2 driving factors are you can't find it on Google, the answer. And number 2, you have to present it in some way at the end. This young lady, and you can see my interviews with her on my website, her name is Emerson. She was 13 at the time, I believe. And until that point in her career, she had extraordinarily low opinion of herself. She had rarely been told that she had any gifts or anything to offer. And so this impacted on her deeply. And when she heard them say, "You can do a project on anything you like," her mind started to think. First of all, I suppose she couldn't really believe it, because it's not often that you get that open space. So it turns out that Emerson had a passion for fashion. And she created a mannequin doll, a 6-foot-tall mannequin doll, which was dressed in clothing representing every decade of the 20th century. She then wrote a pamphlet to go along with this, describing the fashion and the historical context in which it emerged. She then got up and presented this at the end, much to everybody's astonishment. And when I saw this, when the principal explained this to me and showed me this, I asked her if she would allow me, if she would put me in touch with the mum, with Emerson's mum. And she did. And I asked the mum if I could go over and talk to them, right? And so she did. That later that day, actually, for tea time, I went over. And something told me that day that Emerson was going to say something extraordinary. And so for the first time, I'd never done it before, I said, "Do you mind if I video this?" And the mum said, "Will you ask Emerson?" Of course, Emerson didn't mind. I have 45 minutes of the most remarkable young mind talking about her journey, the difficulty of the journey, and the transformation that this experience and what it meant to her. I said, "What was it like when you stood up and did this?" She said, "You know what? It was like I took off my makeup." And then she says to her mum, "Actually, I don't wear much makeup, but it was as though I was taking off my makeup. People could see me." So that's one story. I've actually since, I've stayed in touch with Emerson to some degree since, and I will be doing backup interviews with her. But that's the power. And that all came down to one team of teachers who would come to these conferences and have been given permission to transform the way they enacted the learning. But that was bold on many, many fronts, because the principal could easily have said to that team, it's too much time out of the curriculum, you can't do it. But she didn't. And that's where courageous bravery is needed in leadership.